Pay attention to what I'm going to tell you now. You're about to discover the dirtiest method to seduce any woman. And when I say dirty, it's not because it's immoral or wrong. It's dirty because it goes against everything they taught you about how to win women over. It's like playing chess when everyone else is still playing checkers. You will learn to make moves that no one expects. You know that feeling of seeing the woman of your dreams talking to another guy while you just stand there? That frustration of always being the nice friend she looks for to vent about the idiot she is with. That ends today. Are you tired of being invisible to the women who really interest you? I guarantee you that after the next few minutes, you will never look at seduction the same way again. Because what I'm going to reveal here is a secret code that only about 3% of men know. It is extremely rare to find someone who really applies this in practice. Look, let's be direct here. You have probably already tried everything. You already bought expensive perfume, already tried to impress with gifts, already were the super attentive guy who replies to messages right away. And where did that lead you? To the friend zone, didn't it? The truth is, you were programmed to fail. Society, romantic movies, your own mother, all taught you the wrong path. They told you to be nice, polite, respectful, and don't get me wrong, those are important qualities. But alone, they do not create relentless attraction. Do you know what does? Tension, mystery, a bit of calculated danger. Think with me. Why does that guy who isn't even that handsome manage to get them all? Because he has that unshakable confidence that makes women gravitate around him like planets around the sun. Because he understands something that you still haven't understood. He knows that seduction doesn't happen in logic. It happens in instinct, in her subconscious. It is a biological game that comes from the caveman times. Do you think women consciously choose who they are attracted to? Of course not. It's her primitive brain that decides, and that brain doesn't care about flowers or expensive dinners. It cares about signs of value, social dominance, and ability to protect. Now, before you think I'm telling you to turn into a caveman, relax. It's not about being rude or disrespectful. It's about understanding the dance of bodies and minds that happens in seduction. It's about activating the right triggers at the right moment. I spent more than 10 years studying this, testing it in the field, seeing what works and what doesn't. And what I discovered goes against everything that relationship experts preach out there. Do you want to know the secret? Women don't want a guy who is always available. They want a guy who has options, a guy who doesn't need them. Paradoxical, isn't it? The less you need her, the more she will want you. But how do you demonstrate this without being an idiot? How do you create this aura of interested disinterest without seeming fake? That is exactly what the MO system will teach you. They are 4 fundamental pillars that will transform you from an ordinary guy into a magnet of attraction. Pay attention, because this here is pure gold. First pillar, movement. Seduction does not begin with high. It begins with disruption, a break in the expected, a spark in the silence. Forget everything they told you about introductions. Forget the polite robotic, "How are you?" That dies the moment it's spoken. Because the first move is not about being nice, it's about seizing control of the emotional rhythm. Imagine approaching her, but instead of being predictable, you say something like, "You look like someone who hates small talk, but secretly loves chaos." Now she pauses. She blinks. Her brain activates. Why? Because you've interrupted her pattern. The one wired to automatically filter out generic men. And in that moment, you are no longer one of them. You've made her feel curiosity. And curiosity is the gateway drug to desire. This is what most men never realize. The first sentence is the foundation of the entire game. It's like the opening move in chess. It sets the tempo. It defines the battlefield. And if you open weak, you've already put yourself on the defensive. You'll be chasing for the rest of the interaction. But if you open strong with something unexpected, poetic, or slightly absurd, You gain the frame advantage. Now she's in your world. This is movement. It's not about what you say. It's about how sharply you cut through noise. It's about projecting a psychological signal. I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to see if you're worth the game. And this isn't just verbal. It's energetic. Your tone, your timing, the deliberate calmness in your delivery, the slight smile like you already know what comes next. Men who open with high-frequency, predictable lines are discarded by her subconscious in seconds. But a man who walks in with a sense of controlled unpredictability, he becomes a question she wants to answer. Never forget, women are drawn to what they do not immediately understand. So be the riddle, be the disruption, be the man who speaks not to impress, but to provoke something inside her she forgot she could feel. Because when your first move makes her stop and think, the game is already yours. Second pillar, attitude. This is where the entire foundation of attraction begins to harden into something unshakable, something untouchable, something rare. Confidence is not what you say, it's what you do not need to say. You see, she senses everything. Before you even speak, she reads your essence. She watches how you sit, how long you hold eye contact, whether your presence fills the room or begs for space. True confidence is silent. It walks in without announcing itself. It speaks slowly. It moves with certainty. And most of all, it does not fear loss. That is the attitude. Not arrogance, not performance, but a quiet certainty of self-worth. I do not need you, but I'm not afraid of you either. This is the posture that turns the dynamic upside down. And once you learn it, she starts qualifying herself to you. Let me make it visual. Think of the last time you walked into a showroom. The salesman who rushed you, hovered over you, kept asking, "Do you like it? Want to try it? What do you think?" He writhed of desperation, and instantly you had the upper hand because his need lowered his value. Now imagine another salesman. He greets you calmly, shows you the car with elegance, then steps back in silence. He knows what he's offering. He knows you'll feel it if it's right. Suddenly, you feel the need to prove you're worthy of the deal. You start asking questions. You start justifying your interest. It's the same in seduction. When you show that your life is whole, rich with purpose, filled with joy, anchored in strength, with or without her, you become the prize, not the chaser, not the emotional beggar. And women do not chase men they pity, they chase men they respect. So how do you radiate this attitude through your body? Because words lie, but energy does not. Shoulders relaxed but strong, posture upright, eye contact unbroken, breath slow and steady, movements precise and intentional as if you own time itself. No twitching hands, no bouncing legs, no quick nervous speech. You speak like you trust your silence because studies show over 90% of communication is nonverbal. She doesn't just hear you, she feels you. And if your energy says, "Please like me," she'll pull away even if your words say something else. But if your presence says you're welcome to join, but I do not bend for approval, she leans in because detachment is intoxicating. This is the paradox. The less you seek validation, the more your value multiplies in her eyes. So remember, don't chase her attention, chase your power. Because when a man becomes magnetic within, the outside begins to orbit around him. Third pillar, neglect. This is the most counterintuitive of all, the seductive art of stepping back at the peak. Not because you do not care, but because you understand one of the most powerful truths about female desire. Longing creates obsession. You know that moment. When the conversation is flowing effortlessly, when the smiles come naturally, when she is fully present with you, that's not the moment to keep going. That's the moment to leave, yes. Right at the high point, right when it feels most alive. You simply say, "I'd love to stay, but I've got to run. Let's continue another time." What happens next is not logical. It is chemical. Her brain releases dopamine, and then you disappear. You just became the episode that ends on a cliffhanger. Think about the last addictive series you watched. It didn't explain everything. It didn't resolve the plot. It left you wanting. That's what you must become. Not the 3-hour movie that drags until everyone loses interest, but the tight, tension-filled episode that leaves her breathless. And that means you do not reply the moment she messages. You do not answer every call. You live your life. You move through your world like a man on a mission, a man who has options, purpose, gravity. Because when she notices your absence, her emotional radar activates. Where is he? Who is he with? Why hasn't he replied? And in that moment, she's not just thinking about you, she's feeling you. You are now in her mind, rentrée, looping, playing back your voice, reading your last text like it holds a hidden code. This is the shift when she begins chasing, not out of strategy, but out of tension, unfinished emotion, craving for resolution. That's what most men never understand. They stay too long, they reply too fast, they remove all tension, and in doing so, they kill desire. But you will learn to walk away with elegance, to leave her with a taste, not the full meal, to create silence that echoes louder than words, because that's the paradox. The less she has of you, the more she needs you. This is not arrogance. This is not manipulation. This is psychology, and the man who masters it does not pursue. He pulls by letting go. Fourth pillar, boldness. Taking the initiative and escalating the interaction when necessary without hesitation. This is the moment of truth where most men fail miserably. You created attraction, built tension. Now you need to act. And this is where fear shows up. The fear of rejection, the fear of ruining everything, the fear of being seen as invasive. But let me tell you a secret. Women want you to take the initiative. They fantasize about a man who knows what he wants and is not afraid to go after it. Almost no one realizes this, but hesitation kills more opportunities than rejection. When you feel the moment is right, you act without asking permission, without asking if you can. You read her signals and move forward. It could be taking her hand while walking. It could be pulling her close during a conversation. It could be that kiss at the perfect moment when silence speaks louder than words. Calculated boldness is what separates men from boys. It's what makes her tell her friends about you the next day. It's what creates striking memories she cannot forget. Are you ready for this level? Now, I know what you must be thinking, but this is not manipulation. It's not being a jerk. Let's clear this up once and for all. Manipulation is when you lie, deceive, or do something against her will. What I'm teaching you is exactly the opposite. It's about being authentic in your masculinity. It's about understanding what really creates attraction and acting accordingly. Think with me. When a woman puts on makeup, chooses a nice outfit, uses a special perfume, is she being manipulative? No. She is presenting herself in the best way possible. She is using tools to become more attractive. That is exactly what you are doing. Using psychological tools to awaken genuine attraction. It's not about deceiving anyone. It's about being the best version of yourself. And let me tell you something that few men know. Women want to be seduced. They dream about it. They read books about it. They watch movies about it. But they want to be seduced by a real man, not by an insecure guy who keeps apologizing for existing, not by a man who is afraid of his own shadow. They want to feel that chill in the stomach, that tension in the air, that game of glances that says more than 1,000 words. And when you master the secret code I'm revealing to you, you become that man. You become the guy they cannot get out of their heads. Remember that chess metaphor I mentioned at the beginning? Every interaction with a woman is a match. And while most men are playing defensively, afraid of losing the queen, you will be 3 moves ahead. You will know when to advance, when to retreat, when to sacrifice a piece to win the game. And most importantly, you will play to win, not to avoid losing. There's a huge difference in that. Playing not to lose is what keeps you in the friend zone. It's what makes you afraid to take risks. It's what leaves you paralyzed in inaction. Playing to win is taking calculated risks. It's understanding that some defeats are part of the process. It's knowing that every no brings you closer to a yes. And here's another secret that almost no one applies. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. In the beginning, it may feel strange. It may feel like you are acting, but over time, these behaviors become part of who you are. You no longer need to think about every move. Your instinct already knows what to do. It's like learning to drive. At first, you think about every action: clutch, gear, accelerator, brake. After a while, you do it all automatically while talking with the passenger. Seduction works the same way. The more you practice the pillars of the M system, the more natural they become, until the point where you don't need to think anymore. You simply are this high-value man. Now, let's talk about something crucial: the magnetic touch. This is not about lust. This is not about groping or force. This is ritual. Touch is the most ancient language, older than words, deeper than logic. It bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the subconscious. But here's the secret. She is not drawn to touch itself. She is drawn to the way it happens, its timing, its rhythm, its intent. The right touch at the right moment can bind a memory to her body. But the wrong touch, the rushed one, the forced one, kills everything. So how does it begin? Not with boldness, but with innocence. A light touch on her shoulder as you laugh. A hand guiding her gently through a doorway. A slow, playful high five that lingers half a second too long. Moments that feel natural yet leave a trace. You escalate not through pressure but through presence. You touch, and then you release. And that release is everything. It creates absence, and absence creates craving. This is what most men never understand. Touch isn't about contact. It's about what happens the moment after. Because when you touch and stop, her body feels the silence and starts missing you before you're gone. This is intermittent touch, the psychological equivalent of a heartbeat. On, off, near, gone, safe, dangerous. It builds tension she cannot name. It floods her system with oxytocin and dopamine, the same chemicals released during pleasure and bonding. But you're not bonding. You're branding yourself into her nervous system. And here's the paradox. The more natural it seems, the more powerful it becomes. You must not telegraph intention. You must not flinch. You touch like a man who's done it 1,000 times. Not because you're desperate, but because you're centered. Your hand doesn't ask for permission. It reads her reaction. If she leans in, you know. If she pulls back, you adapt. Because the masculine touch is not invasive. It is observant. It listens with the skin. And when used correctly, it makes her feel something terrifyingly rare in the modern world. A man who is both in control of himself and in tune with her. That is magnetic. Because long after the words are forgotten, she will remember how you made her feel. Not in her mind, in her body. There's one final weapon you must master. One most men never even think about. Cold reading. It's not magic. It's precision. The quiet art of reading what she wants before even she knows it. Because every woman leaves subtle signs. Not in her words, but in her patterns, the way she dresses, the speed of her voice, the rhythm in her walk, what she posts online, where she goes, what she avoids. You are no longer just a man. You are an emotional detective, reading between the lines, tracking the energy behind the words, feeling the signals she doesn't say out loud. A woman who wears loud, flashy jewelry, she craves attention. She wants the spotlight and confirmation that she still has it. A woman in subtle, elegant tones, she's deeper, more private. She longs to be understood, not just seen. Watch her speech. If she talks fast, gestures wide, she's spontaneous, reactive, driven by feeling. If she speaks slowly, carefully, she's calculated, guarded, strategic. And when you adjust your energy to match her hidden nature, when you mirror what she truly needs without her asking, you become irresistible because you're not offering what she's demanding. You're offering what she's secretly starving for. That is the power. But here's the trap most men fall into. They try to do it all instantly. They binge techniques. They force results. They imitate, perform, act out a script. But this is not performance. This is embodiment. So slow down. Start with just one pillar. Apply it for a week until it becomes real, then another and another, until the system is not something you memorize. It's something you become. Because this dirty method I'm giving you, it's not about becoming someone else. It's about unleashing the real you, the alpha that society buried beneath years of shame, guilt, and conditioning. Wake up. Time is slipping away while you sit there overthinking. Other men are already using this and getting results. You're still watching, still hesitating, still wondering if this works. Ask yourself, 5 years from now, do you want to be in the exact same place with the same silent frustrations, watching the woman you wanted in the arms of a man who simply knew how to move? Or do you want to be the man she cannot forget, the man who never begs, the man who chooses, the man who does not accept emotional crumbs, the man who creates attraction like clockwork? That choice is yours. But remember this, knowledge without action is dead. You can binge 100 videos, read 100 books, but if you don't step into the arena, you'll stay stuck in theory, powerless. Here's the brutal truth. Most men who hear this will do nothing. They'll stay the same. They'll keep being nice. They'll stay trapped in the maybe zone, the ghosted zone, the friend zone. But not you. You're not most men. You're still here, still reading, still listening. You can be the exception, the one who took this and transformed everything. So stop hesitating, stop blaming, stop waiting for the perfect moment. She will not wait forever. Now, before you go, let's anchor this in. You've learned the MO system, movement that breaks patterns, attitude that radiates quiet power, neglect that creates craving, boldness that separates men from boys. You've seen how seduction isn't logic, it's instinct, it's timing, it's tension. You've seen that touch and emotional reading when mastered are sharper than words. And most importantly, you've seen this is not manipulation. This is masculine clarity. It's giving women the emotional experience they secretly crave but never ask for. So, if you're truly ready to escape the cycle, if you're done playing small, done shrinking yourself, done watching life pass while others make moves, then make this moment count. Like this video. Subscribe now, because what comes next will not just change how women see you, it will change how you see yourself. Remember the chessboard? You've just learned moves 97% of men don't even know exist. Now you hold the power. But power without use is just wasted potential. The pieces are in place. The game has begun. So let me ask you, will you watch from the sidelines, or will you step up and finally play to win? The choice is yours. It always has been. Now you have the code. You have the system. You know the dirtiest method to seduce any woman. Use it with discipline. Use it with class. Use it with strength. But above all, use it. Because the pain of regret will always hurt more than the fear of rejection. And once you master this code, rejection won't even matter anymore. So, tell me, are you ready to flip the game once and for